little lower class than Joe Rogan.
You gotta start somewhere.
You gotta start somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's good enough. And finally back, I'm all out, but that's all good. This podcast is about you and Jesus, Shane. Awesome. Let's do it. Aloha, everybody. It's Mark Sawyer-Chu, host of the Christian Surfers Podcast. We just wanted to say a special thanks to Almond Surfboards and Trustless Property Management, to thank them for their support and love. Those guys love the Lord. We wouldn't be able to tell the stories of Jesus from all around the world through this ministry without those guys. Almond Surfboards, based in Costa Mesa, California. Since 2007, they've been building timeless boards and just helping families and friends just surf the everyday average waves, but making it fun and remembering the joy of surfing. Beautiful boards from mid-lengths and longboards to fishes and shortboards. Go by, check them out. Really fun merch too, and they do a great job building community. Gary Ward and Bryce and the team over at Trustless Property Management, based in San Clemente, absolute legends as well, who love the Lord. And if you have a property that you want a family-owned business that you can trust to operate it, or looking for a place or a home to purchase, I did my place and bought our home through them. Those are great guys to work with. So Trustless Property Management and Almond Surfboards, God bless you guys, and thank you for all your support with Christian Surfers.
Hey guys, and aloha. It's Mark Sawyer-Chu, your host of the Christian Surfers Podcast, Talk Story, where we talk Jesus and talk with surfers that love Jesus. Please tune in to hear some amazing stories of faith and the kingdom, and we'll see you soon.
Right. Good morning, brothers and sisters, friends and family, ladies and gentlemen. Bright and early here with the legend of the surf industry, Cheyne Cottrell. Shane, where are we right now?
We're in my hotel room in Virginia Beach, of all places. Yeah,
that's right. Shane is not usually letting strangers into his hotel room at like 6 a.m. It would first be Jesus and then his wife, and then I got in third somehow. So thank you so much for having me, brother, and making it work during a very busy week here at Surf Park Central at Atlantic Park in Virginia Beach. I've seen you over the years, I feel like hundreds of times at SEMA events, Surf Industry Member Association, Surf Expo, a lot of industry events. I've got a lot of good friends that are reps that are always obviously coming down to the shop to call on you and the family and the buyers and do some cool events with you down there. But I felt my first interaction with you was, probably 20 years ago when Walking on Water came out with Brian Jennings, and he's taken Luke Davis and I think Tyler Halloway, two kids around the world just surfing, and one of the stops in the movie was South Africa. Yeah. And you were in the film, and I think you met up with them and took them surfing at a few secret spots or something.
I mean, J-Bay's not that much of a secret spot, but we got some other spots that were a little less known.
Yes.
That was an incredible trip. It was very unexpected. They called me like the day before they got there, like typical Brian Jennings style. Yeah. And they're like, can you help us out? And they ended up staying with us, and I ended up being basically an unofficial tour guide for that entire trip. And it was awesome. We scored. Waves were pumping the whole trip, and
that's epic.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
That's when I first got introduced to the whole Brian Jennings and a lot of those people that have become lifelong friends.
Yeah, and we've got a few of them in town right now, like Noah Hamilton, who we had on the podcast yesterday, but now serendipitously you're working with on a potential wave pool down by you in South Florida. Yeah. That whole crew, right? Yeah. Did you know all those guys from competitive surfing? Brian, Will Tant, Noah Snyder, CJ Damien, and like Matt Beecham, those guys?
Not really, because when they came to South Africa, I was like 18, so I really hadn't gone to the world tours.
Okay. And they were older?
They're like a year or two older than me. Yeah. Not like a lot.
Not much, yeah. But you grew up there, so it wasn't like you grew up with them here.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I grew up in Florida. I moved to South Africa
when I was
14. Yeah.
Deerfield?
Deerfield Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, born and raised in Deerfield. And I surfed a little bit in Deerfield, but there's just not a lot of waves, so you can't surf a lot in Florida.
Yeah.
And or at least that part especially. I was doing a couple of the ESAs and NSSAs, but I never really
got... As a Grom.
Okay. But I never got like super into it going up into Melbourne and really where all those guys were competing. And I definitely didn't do Easterns or the whole East Coast deal. Yeah. And then when
your dad and mom surfed, or the whole family surfed?
Yeah, my dad surfed. My mom kind of surfed, like bodyboard surfed a little bit when there's at the beach. Yeah. My dad ran all the ESAs down in South Florida while running the surf shop.
Wow. So he had Island Water Sports.
Yeah.
Already, when you guys were all born. That was his business.
He started Island in 1978. Wow. So yeah, he started Island in 78, and then it grew to like 3 or 4 stores in the early 80s, and then he did like a franchise model, and that's when it really got big. So it got to...
So people licensed the name.
Yes.
And you guys built a great reputation with the brand and the retail store. So you guys were expanding, but you guys had the original one, right, with the shark through the roof. Is that the OG one?
That's the OG one in Deerfield Beach.
So you grew up working in that as a shop ground when you were a kid.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it working, but I'd be hanging out all day.
Yeah. We're tagging, working the cash register.
Yeah.
Cleaning up.
Just being a Grom.
Yeah. And your sisters as well, right? You guys all kind of just grew up in the business?
Pretty much, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever think that you guys would take over the shop?
Kind of. Always from the beginning, I was like, oh, this is what I'm going to do when I'm older. It's like kind of set in stone, the pathway. It seemed like from
mom and dad.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So were your parents believers at that time when they had the shop?
Yeah. So I guess going back from my dad way back, he grew up in Boca.
Okay.
And then he got saved when he was in high school, and then he went to UF for a couple years, and then really got called to ministry.
In Gainesville,
in Gainesville.
Okay.
Yeah. So he went for 2 years there, and then transferred out to go to Philadelphia College of Bible. So he got his seminary degree there, or 3 or 4 years later after that.
Okay.
After he transferred out of UF, and so that's where he first got called to ministry. Then he moved back to Boca and was actually a youth pastor at a place called Bibletown, which is now Boca Christian, where my kids go to school. So it's kind of like a small world, and
rad.
This is all well before I was born. I'm just kind of telling the old story, but he was running the Bibletown, and he was just always trying to reach out to surfers because that was like his tribe.
He was a surfer, and he became a Christian.
Exactly. So he wanted to bring surfers in, and at the time the pastors were like, "Yo, you can't bring all these surfer dudes in. We gotta protect our girls, our kids that are in the church that are already Christians."
Really?
And he's like, that's not what we're here. We're here to be a light into the world, not just to
an inclusive club.
Exactly.
It was backwards.
So he kind of was like, I'm out, and then that's when he started the surf shop to reach out, and that be his platform.
And you guys are one of the first shops. You go to places like San Clemente, and there's a shop every other block.
Yeah.
But down by you, where it's not the biggest surfing town, there's not a lot of shops in South Florida.
Exactly. Yeah, it's Nomad was there from the beginning. They've been there from the 60s, and then we opened up around the same time as BC opened up in Fort Lauderdale, around that same era in the late 70s.
Yeah.
And it was just us three and all of basically south of Cocoa Beach.
Yeah. Well, your name, in IWS typically comes up when anyone talks about Southern Florida. Mm-hmm. You don't again, there's only 2-3 shops, but not your name is just really kind of synonymous as one of the key shops and retailers down there, and which is so cool because that's why I get to see you at a lot of work events. But your dad gets saved, opens up the shop in the 70s.
Yeah.
You guys are born here in Florida on the mainland, and he's doing basically ministry. It sounds like out of the shop.
It started that way, and he quickly got sidetracked. He was he was building ministry, and then he quickly got distracted and started. He used to call it I was building Kirk's World. So the shop grew, and he got pretty far from the Lord, I'd say.
Okay.
And then
just distracted with business.
With business and just what was going on, and then at the time. A local pastor kind of called him out in the late 80s, I'd say. And that's really what he's like, you're right. And then he kind of turned everything around and brought it back to the Lord. So there was definitely a time obviously I was born in '83, so this is all just third-party stories.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the basics of the quick story of how it went down.
Well, most people do pull a prodigal son or daughter in their life. I haven't really met anyone that's been able to stay on the path, especially that long, especially through kind of college and teenage years. But so at that point, then, were you guys growing up in a Christian home, and when did it kind of become real for you?
Yeah, I mean, we grew up in a Christian home. We always went to this like local First Baptist church.
Okay.
And then but it was just kind of like going through the motions. And then like when my dad was talking to the other pastor, it was like Pastor Bob from Calvary Chapel. We like got wrapped into Calvary, and then he was like fully on fire for the Lord. So we started doing mission trips every year. And
from Deerfield.
From Deerfield, just going out with Calvary, and we did my dad really felt called to ministry, but he wasn't really sure what.
Okay.
And in 2012, I think we did a huge Billy Graham crusade. We went down to Puerto Rico for 4 months and helped him set up, and at the time it was a really big event down there. And then
whoa, so big commitment there, not just a week.
Yeah.
And then you just had some other people run the shop.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of like a test run.
Okay.
And then the next year, it was funny because it was really involved with Christian surfers. My dad was like, we're called to ministry, I'm just not sure what.
Okay.
And we did this big family trip all around America. We left
States.
Florida, drove up to Philly, visited all his old college, Philadelphia College of my old friends.
Okay.
Went all the way west, drove all the way to Seattle, down to Santa Cruz, and we met up with some good friends that used to live in Florida there.
No way.
And then we went with them and flew out to Hawaii for a Christian Surfers Conference. And
what year was that?
that was in 95 or 96.
95.
Yeah,
So.
it was. We moved to South Africa in 97, so I know it was a year or two before that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was your first Christian Surfers event?
That was our first. I don't know. We might have gone to the one before that. I think we might have done 2 Hawaii years in a row.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I mean, I was young. So this is I was 11, 12 years old. So this is a long time ago.
Yeah.
And,
it's all blurred when we get older. But,
exactly.
But you were there with the OGs. I mean, that must have been Eric Awakawa, Brett Davis.
Yes.
Phil Williams, trying to think of the older salts.
All those guys were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were all awesome. And they were talking, I think, it might have been Roy that was there, Roy Harley, or it was
he would have been pretty young.
Dimitri.
Back then. Yeah.
There's a guy, Dimitri.
Okay.
From South Africa.
Wow.
Gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the names,
All
but
good.
they were like, hey, we have Christian surfers, but we're so unorganized. It's a great movement in South Africa. We need someone to be our director for South Africa. That's our prayer request. And my dad really? Just saying that's me. He was just felt like God was like, that's you. You need to stand up and follow that.
Raise your hand for that.
Raise your hand.
No way.
And 1 year later, we were living in South Africa. Yeah.
So you're watching your dad. You're getting dragged all around the world with your family, and you're like, what are we doing?
I mean, I was loving it. At that time, I was starting to get really into surfing. So I was like, Puerto Rico for 3 months? Oh, yeah, we're hyped. And it was always very, surfer involved. And it was.
Did the whole family surf or just you?
My sisters both surf. Not so much anymore, but they used to surf a lot when we were kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you guys all grow up competing? Since your dad was running ESA and all that?
A little bit.
Okay.
Competing in Florida is just hard. Every other weekend we'd have a contest, but then it'd be canceled. So
or
it was
flat.
exactly. Canceled because it was flat.
Yeah.
And
not like
so we
SoCal.
competed, but not very serious. Then I got to Cape Town, Komaki, and we got really into it. Just because it was such a good group of guys that were competing at the time. It was just
in Cape Town,
and there's nothing else to do at the time. So
you're Musenberg, Crawfish Factory, Dungeons. You're just training ground over there.
It was Long Beach. I was at the Long Beach training ground every day. Yeah,
love it. So you're probably around 20 at this point.
No, I was still
Grom.
I was 14
you're
when we moved to South Africa. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
The girl, and your sisters as well.
They're all younger, so 14, then 12, and 10.
Yeah.
When we moved to South, that was I remember because we moved on my 14th birthday to Komaki.
Wow. Incredible. Happy birthday. And you still speak Afrikaans?
No, I never did.
Just lekker brew and buy donkey.
Yeah. I can understand a fair bit. But, we were in very much the English-speaking part of Cape Town. So.
Okay, so you get in touch with Christian surfers. Your family's trying to figure out, called to some sort of surf ministry. We're called to an outreach for surfers, but didn't quite know what that was going to be or look like. Yeah. You end up in South Africa. The whole family's just your dad was a big surfer, right?
Yep.
And so that was your family must have been stoked. And then were you full time with a church there or running Christian surfers in that part of South Africa?
Yeah, obviously I was still a Gron just being a kid, but my dad was running Christian surfers full time in South Africa. Wow. And he was also started a church. He started a Calvary Chapel in Cape Town.
Wow, as a church plant.
Yeah, as a church plant, and he was the pastor. So, his whole motto is like, hey, Christian Surfers isn't the church, it's a bridge to the church. And we started Christian Surfers in South Africa, and it was starting to become a church. Because the two churches that were prominent in South Africa were just like, my dad used to call them the Frozen Chosen, or they were just very Pentecostal and like a little too unorganized.
Yeah.
So he kind of wanted something a little bit more down the middle that he grew up and used to. So like with coming from the Baptist and then into the Calvary world, it was like, hey, Calvary Chapel is like what I feel called to bring. Yeah. So he planted the Calvary
and
Church.
Chuck Smith and those guys were surfers as well, right? The guys that started Calvary.
Chuck was never a surfer, but he like really bonded with the
surf culture.
Exactly.
Okay, so he was open to having surfers come into a church.
Yeah.
Or maybe some of the more old school traditional churches.
Exactly.
Was like, well, who are these people?
Yeah. He was like, come as you are. He started as like a tent church and like come in sandals, come in
boy shorts.
Exactly.
Okay.
You didn't have to dress up in a suit and tie, and obviously that was a big draw for
surfers.
My dad at the time.
Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna come.
Us. Especially after his church basically pushed him out because it was the surfers at the time. So he really loved the Calvary Chapel vision, and it really.
Wow.
Okay, recording.
Every surfer and every surfing community should have the opportunity to know and follow Jesus.
That's why we want to share with you an exciting new project.
The Surfer's Bible!
The Surfer's Bible won't just be in printed form, but it'll also be digital.
And this will include testimonies, devotionals, and reading plans, all online and consistently updated.
As part of the global movement, you can make this fantastic idea a reality.
For as little as $10, you can get a printed Bible in the hands of a surfer who has never read one before.
That's a Bible in the hands of a surfer at the local beaches.
Lives will be changed and hearts will be softened.
For every surfer!
I think we did it.
We did it. Phil?
Are we done or are we...
Well, you guys are early days of Surf Church Collective, because now there's a whole, obviously, partner movement with Roy Harley and Richard Ellington, for a network of surfer-friendly churches around the world.
Yeah.
But you guys kind of pioneered that without even knowing that back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't, but I was there to see it happen.
Yeah. So you guys are in South Africa. You said Christian surfers had kind of turned into a church, which sometimes happens when there isn't a surfer-friendly church in the area to plug them into.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, whether you're a surfer or not, you're just looking for community.
Exactly.
So, but you obviously had a huge influence on the area. And how many years were you guys in South Africa? And I obviously don't know your family well, but I always heard you grew up as a missionary kid over there. You're obviously back stateside now running the business, but your dad was out in the water surfing a big wave and then passed away.
Yeah, so we moved there when I was 14.
Okay.
And then, the church grew pretty quick, it was happening. My dad had a very big, personality. So we felt at home within a couple weeks, and people there were.
You guys just made friends.
Yeah, everyone was super welcoming, and I saw some of my best friends from the time I lived in Komiki.
Yeah.
And
still keep in touch with anyone over there?
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people, that's the problem with a lot of South Africa. There's not a lot of business opportunities. So most of my South African friends don't live in South Africa anymore.
Have moved.
Yeah. There's Damian Farrenfort, I grew up 3 doors down from him.
No way.
So he lives in California now.
Duma.
Yeah, Duma. And then we have, some of my friends just moved back, David Richards, and there's this kid, Adrian, that I don't really keep in touch with much. He was a close friend. And, everyone's like in England and Australia.
Yeah, a lot of expats. And that's why South Africans are everywhere. My pastor in Florida is South African. And, tough there, obviously, with the economy, safety, but such a beautiful country.
Yeah.
And the people and the waves are incredible.
Yeah.
So everyone's kind of moved all over. And walk us through that journey of being a missionary kid.
We became really
South
close
Africa.
friends with everyone. And then I started competing a lot. So we were doing all the contests. There's a Billabong Pro Junior Tour there.
So QS and WSL stuff over in the region?
Yeah, so I started doing the QS like right when I turned 18. And I was actually up at the Mr. Price Pro, which is like a 6-star at...
Yeah, which is now the Bolito Pro, right?
Which is now the Bolito Pro. It used to be at New Pier and that whole zone.
Was that Durban?
That was in Durban, yeah. So it was like downtown Durban before Durban got basically too dangerous now. It's still an incredible wave, but it's just not somewhere you want to hang out and run a big contest like that. So it was, I was up there and my dad went surfing and a wave in Cape Point in the nature reserve there.
Okay.
And he was
like a raw, big, just open, like.
So there's a big nature reserve, the bottom point of like the end of the tip of the peninsula of Cape Town.
Yeah.
And it's like it's really awesome place to go surfing because there'll be ostriches, zebras, all these like
just
animals.
Wild. What
you like surfing in wild Africa, and the waves are good and
just raw, not crowded. And
it can get crowded, but it's like just like very raw. You just feel like you're in touch with nature, and it's just a really cool place to surf.
Very different from surfing in LA with big buildings behind you.
Yeah, or Virginia Beach, or anywhere. It's just like lots of wildlife, lots of ocean wildlife too. You know? So
you guys got some big sharks over there.
At that time, there was a lot of sharks around.
Yeah. And was he surfing by himself, or was
No, so he was surfing with like 2 buddies.
Okay.
And they had surfed for like a couple hours. It wasn't really big. Like he charged. It was funny. I was looking at
Isn't that South
the
Africa?
Surfer's Bow. That's in
Allen.
Komaki. That's in.
That's your old home break.
That's why. Well, not the home break, but that's the big wave outside the home break.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you definitely surfed this spot. Back in the day.
Many times.
Yeah.
This was like a view from our house, so you could see this wave. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, God.
Maybe you're on the Surfer's Bible cover right there, just tucked into that massive lip.
I don't think so, but
pretty special.
yeah. So he would surf this wave a lot. That was like his favorite wave. So he surfed like bigger waves.
Okay.
And it was just like this little reef, 3 to 4 feet, like nothing big.
Okay.
And he was surfing with 2 friends. He's like, hey, I'm going next wave in. I'll see you guys at the car.
Okay.
And where this spot is, it's kind of like a little reef break, and then you come into this little bay, and then you walk around the dunes to your car. So you don't even see the cars, but you like surf there. So everyone's like, cool. He caught a wave, and on that wave, we're not really sure exactly what happened, but he had a big bump on his head when they found him, and he hit his head either on his board or the reef or something, and got knocked unconscious and then passed away. So the other guys are like, cool, he went in, and then, caught another wave.
Because they couldn't see him.
They couldn't see him. They didn't see him fall or anything. It was on the inside. And, they walked up to the car, like, where is he? And then it kind of clicked that something must have happened. And by the time he found him, it was too late.
Too late. He had drowned.
Yeah. But it was like, it was one of those things that I feel like God's plan is a hard thing to understand sometimes.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things we were praying, like God had called us to South Africa for 3 to 5 years. And my dad was like praying a lot, like, hey, what's the next step? Are we supposed to stay here? We're kind of coming up to the end of the 5-year mark.
Right.
We were there for 4.5 years at that time. And are we moving back to South Africa, moving back to Florida? Are we staying here? I feel like we were called to stay here. And he was on really good terms with everyone in the family at the time. Like, I spoke to him earlier today.
And you were at the contest.
I was at the contest. In that time, it was, I was staying with actually Ace Buckin that's here right now. We were roommates at that contest.
That's hilarious.
And when that happened, and Yeah, I just remember like talking. I had like my best result ever in a QS at that time. I like made the
You were
quarterfinals,
stoked.
and I was like hyped, and we like talked, and it was like a good conversation. And then
Yeah.
so
I can't wait to watch you surf with him and have him again, Shane. So how's that journey been all these years? Kind of, I guess, was that at that point with your faith and competing? Where did the family go next after that?
yeah, so we kind of like doubled down on South Africa. I was like, this is our home, and
You're going to stay.
We're gonna stay. We got our community there. We got our friends there. So we stayed, and but I got I didn't really want to stay that much. So that's when I just started like, hey, I'm doing the QS. I'm gonna just go all in on this professional surfing
And
attempt.
I'm just going to go travel.
And I'm just gonna go travel. So for the next 5 years, I just surfed, took every opportunity I could. Probably looking back, I probably shouldn't have said yes on some of the trips. I was like, gosh, that was a waste of time, a waste of a trip. I went on some crazy journeys, and but it was an awesome time. I was traveling 10 months out of the year, so it was like I was living out of a suitcase. Any trip, I just kind of didn't feel like I need to go home, because it was like, what is there to do at home? It wasn't like there's a lot going on. So I just traveled.
And would it remind you too of Dad and all that?
You know, that wasn't really so much it. It was just like, I just wanted to get out and
spread your wings and
just go for
18.
it. Yeah. And it was like a lot of my crew that I grew up surfing with were all doing the same thing. So I was just like,
you guys were traveling together.
Exactly.
And that's how you met Will Tant and Noah and CJ Damien, that whole crew. And
well, I met Jennings and the whole crew when they came to South Africa.
Okay.
And then they were doing a trip like 3 weeks later to Nicaragua for
the movie?
For the Beyond Borders show.
Okay.
And they're like, hey, we actually have an open spot. Do you want to join us? And I was like, sure. So I 3 weeks later, I flew out and went to Nicaragua. And that's where I got to really know like Jesse and Will, because they weren't on the South Africa trip.
Jesse Hines?
Yeah, Jesse Hines.
And Will Tant.
And Will Tant. And, you know, that Noah Snyder and Jesse Sluntz. And Katso. And I mean, Katso and them were on the South Africa trip.
Yeah,
so there was a couple crossovers. AJ Nesty. Like, that's where we really got to, we hung out in Nicaragua for a couple weeks. And
so cool.
That was also an incredible trip. Got great waves.
Was that kind of a mission/surf trip?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did it. It was mission/surf trip. We went into the capital of Managua and did the whole trash dump concert thing down there that they do.
Yeah, because there was a whole village, right? There was a movie.
Yes.
Named Brad Corrigan.
So Brad was down on the trip with us.
Oh, no.
And that was like part of the ministry
there.
deal. Yeah, we were there for that trip.
What's the name of that movie? The Smile of Ideala or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good memory there.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember off the top of my head.
That was a gnarly, heartbreaking film, obviously, to watch. But, I mean, the fact that you got pro surfers from all around the world coming to this trash dump village in the middle of nowhere in Nicaragua. Obviously, you guys were surfing and went to the beach at some points, but to spend time and just see the families just living in a trash dump that must have been life-changing for you.
It wasn't coming from South Africa. It wasn't like too crazy. Yeah. Like I was like, this is just how the world works. I'd been in it for the last, at that time I was getting a little 6 or 7 years. So like.
You had seen stuff like that.
Yeah,
before.
and I'd grown up doing the ministry trips to Puerto Rico and Guatemala, and we did quite a few Central American trips when I was pretty young. So it wasn't like, it wasn't as hard. I mean, it was super heartbreaking, but it wasn't like, I can't believe this actually happens in the world. It was like, a lot of my friends that were down there were like, oh my, like.
Their mind was blown.
Their mind was blown. And I had tons of compassion, and it was more about just getting the story out there, like, hey, this is like not that uncommon, unfortunately. Like it should be uncommon, but it is more common than people think.
Well, you grew up with a very different world perspective just because of your family and your background and being missionary kids, and I see my kids and all the San Clemente kids, coming up now.
Yeah.
And my girls were born there in San Clemente, and it's like I want to take them on a trip like that because that is very different from Orange County and North County, San Diego, and all that zone. But I felt like you had, and that was maybe a gift that your dad and your family gave you, was this really different worldview that most other kids did not have growing up at that time.
It was a fortunate place to be. For sure.
So you're competing, you're meeting some other Christian surfers, you're traveling. Was your family, after Dad had passed, did they stay involved with Christian surfers in South Africa?
We were involved in the church and not as involved in Christian surfers, just because it was not really the priority at the time.
Yeah.
So like it was, we were involved in the church more than that, but at the same time it was just like, hey, that was his deal, and I definitely wasn't ready to like pick up the cross, so to speak, at that time. I was like, I'm going to do my own thing, and I'm going to do the surfing. Obviously, I was plugged in with the church. It was a great network for me to go. So whenever I'd go to Australia, we would like hang out with the Christian Surfers crew there. They would help us find places to stay because, we did it all in like a shoestring budget. So it was just like couch hopping from place to place. And it opened a lot of doors that it wouldn't have been possible without them.
Yeah. That's the great thing about the Christian Surfers, mission or movement. It is really a family on mission and tribe. And coming up to Virginia Beach, for Surf Park Summit, I was like, I want to hang out with Christian Surfers Virginia Beach for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I got to go to their chapter meeting and bring my family, wife and kids, and go surf with them and stay and crash with them and get to see the the beautiful town and then like, okay, cool, we got to see the town. And then we could go to work, and it's not like we strike missioned in and out, and be able to connect with Christian surfers, and just we got a sweet time of just prayer together too, and just be able to share globally what's happening, obviously here in Virginia Beach, to South Africa, to Norway, to Hong Kong, and China and Japan. It's just really cool to know that you're part of a bigger movement,
Of course, yeah.
And so thank you for Cheyne, for your family and your dad, and just all their just serving God and the kingdom of God with Christian surfers. When did you guys know that it was time to move back to the States?
Yeah, it was kind of like so like 2006, we had a great crew that had been running the shop basically since we moved there in '97. So like 9 years they'd been just
family, friends taking over the business. And
they're just like managers that came up through the business and then became the managers, and
you just
managers, buyers,
trustworthy people.
And they're just trustworthy people, and they're a great team. And at that time, it was like kind of the peak surf industry days.
Like 90s,
or 2006. Yeah, 2005, 2006. And
that was the heyday.
And our shop was doing really, really, really well at the time. And all our main guys were kind of like headhunted and picked from the industry. So like our main manager at the time, Mark Burns, he went to Ocean Minded Sandals, kind of like Crocs had just bought them, and they had quite a big...
With Gary Ward.
Yeah, with Gary Ward.
Yeah, Trellis Property Management. God bless you, Gary and Bryce. Thank you for sponsoring the Christian Surfers podcast and Full Circle. I mean, such a small industry, right? Big, small world.
Exactly. So, and then we had, Chris Payne went to work for Quicksilver. Derek Poling went to work for Oakley. Wow. And then like Scott Gravatt went to Nike at the time, 6.0 when that was starting. Yeah. So it was like all our main like core staff was like
getting hired.
Just getting hired by other people. Rico went to Volcom, and it was like all these, and they all got great jobs that were like, bro, you should take this job. Like, we're family. Like, that's a great opportunity. So
the industry is stealing my staff.
Yeah, so it's great now because they all still work for me, but now I don't have to pay them. They just get the commission.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Oh, your sales reps.
My mom was at the time was like, hey, this is our time. Like, either we need to move back and run the shop
now,
or we need to sell the store, or we need to do something. And she kind of
stay in South Africa.
Yeah, or
you couldn't do both. You couldn't keep the stores and then keep staying in South Africa doing missions work.
Exactly. And at the time, we just had one store. It was just the Deerfield store, and it was a well-performing store, but it was just one.
And the franchisees had sold.
So I mean, going way back, so in the early 90s, we dissolved the franchisee. It basically became insolvent. So it didn't go bankrupt, but basically went bankrupt.
Okay.
And everyone that had bought a licensee just had operated their shop on their own. So there's a Island Water Sports in North Miami still, Scott Payne. And he was one of the original franchisee owners. And then there was other ones, but they've all kind of slowly dissolved
disappeared
over the time.
Yeah.
And
but you guys always kept the main one.
Exactly. So in 2006, my mom was like, either get back and run it, and this is your time to jump in, or we need to get rid of it. And she's like, kind of put in me and my sister's hands.
She left the decision up to you guys.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not going back to run it. She's like, I'm selling, or I'm living in South Africa. I'm not moving back. And
really? And so not only were you guys moving back to run the shop, you realized you were going to be with Mom.
Well, yeah, like my middle sister Carly, she had already moved back and was working at the store at the time.
Okay.
And
so she wanted to leave South Africa earlier than the rest of you guys.
Yeah, and I was spending, because obviously doing the tour from South Africa is just so far from everywhere. I was spending a lot of time in Florida. I would travel, going from there to Nicaragua, Hawaii, everywhere is like a lot closer. So you would
check in with the shop and family when you were going through?
Yeah. And I would like do home base there over holidays. I would work, a side gig for one of my buddies' valet companies, or I'd work at the shop, pick up some cash, work a little bit.
Because it was so expensive to basically travel.
Yeah. And I'd work a side gig in Florida. So I wasn't like not in Florida, but I would just like, I was kind of just like a place to store some boards and like have a little base there.
Yeah, because it was so far and you were traveling all over, it helped to have like little bases everywhere.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it was good to work when I was in town, and I did have still friends from when I was a young kid, and I'd obviously built new friends while I was there. And and I just felt called like, okay, I'm kind of like done with trying to travel 9-10 months out of the year. And I've done this for long enough. I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years, and I think it's time to like
you had your taste,
run the shop, know. So then I just kind of dove straight into the shop. I thought it was going to be Fry for a couple of years until I built a manager up, and then I'm here. 20 years later.
Still running the shop.
Yeah.
Congratulations, and it's a great shop. Obviously, beautiful people that run and own the shop. And so, if any of you guys watching out there, if you guys are in South Florida or anywhere near Deerfield, please make sure you stop into Island Water Sports and say hi to Shane.
Say hi.
He's probably going to be working the front desk and greeting you as soon as you come in and help you out with any board or gear that you guys might need. I remember going, my first time was, I was one of the chapter directors in LA. There was some sort of action sports conference in Fort Lauderdale at the Calvary Chapel there.
Yeah.
And Dean Plumley was the national director. And most of the chapters had flown in for that, but there were other ministries there. There were like skate ministries. Brian Jennings was there. Phil Williams was there, and there were other like there were like wake ministries, snowboard ministries. All the action sports ministries were together. And Dean's like, hey, one day he rounded all of us up. He's like, we're gonna go to Island Water Sports, IW, and we all went down there. We all bought some merch. We all took photos with you and your sister.
Did you just send me that photo the other day?
I did.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It just popped up on my Facebook, and I don't even use Facebook anymore. It was on Instagram now, but it was so cool to see that. You know, from 10 plus years ago, and just to walk around and the cool shark. It's so fun for all the tourists, and you guys just had all these fun little buggies in the parking lot, and we were just all taking funny photos with them. But it's such a cool community and core shop. So you've been running that for 20, you've been back for a while now. I see it's 2006 you moved back, I guess. And then Mom's still doing ministry and missions work over in South Africa?
Yeah. Okay. She's not really involved with Christian Surfers or like Calvary down there anymore, but she's just been involved for 15 years now. And just like there's a little town called Ocean View, which is near
Cape Town.
It's in Cape Town. It's just like
suburb.
Yeah, I guess you could call it. It's like just a down and out community.
Yeah. And
she just like volunteers her time at the local school there.
Amazing.
And teaches kids to read, but uses Bibles and Christian scriptures basically to teach them to read.
The gospel.
Yeah. So it's just like teaching, and she's in the public school system, so to speak.
Yeah.
But just volunteering and teaching kids how to read, and she loves it.
Well, she sounds amazing, Cheyne, and I hope I get to meet her. I guess she's in town now.
She gets in town today, and she's gonna be watching my little ones for a couple of days. So, grandma's in town.
So it's so helpful to have grandma in town from South Africa. How often do you guys see each other, and how often do you guys go back to South Africa these days?
I went back like 2 years ago. The goal is I saw my permanent residency for there, so
no way.
I have to go back every 5 years to
keep it.
Okay. So the goal is
U.S. passport and South Africa residency.
Yeah. And awesome. I try to go back every 2 to 3 years, so it's about due. I probably would have gone back this year if I hadn't had so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
But maybe next year. I'm hoping to get. I always plan for the winter season, so I get there during a J-base swell or something.
There you go. Got to go for the contest.
Yeah, I'm not going for the contest, but I'll go. I'll plan it around that trip.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Well, Cheyne, it's been an honor to get to know you, and thank you for sharing those moments and your stories of your past, whether they've been high or low and emotional. But you've been such a light to me and so many other Christian surfers in this industry, and you're part of the family. And so many people have gone through Christian surfers over the years, and I always just tell people it's a family, it's a tribe, and once a Christian surfer, always a Christian surfer, and we're so grateful for how your family and you yourself have just served Jesus. How can people be following you and your family and supporting and praying for the shop, and just staying in touch with you guys?
I mean, I'm on all the social media stuff, Instagram, everything. CHEYNE C is my handle, and I'm always around. Shoot me a DM if you have any questions, and love to meet you.
Shop.
Yeah, or come to just walk in the store. We have 4 stores now, so I'll be one of the 4 stores.
So God has kind of re-expanded IWS when it kind of came back, consolidated, came back down to the original, and then now you guys got multiple stores again.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's all been the last 5 years. We've opened 3 stores in the last 5 years.
Wow.
So they've been
different seasons.
Yeah, and they've just been great opportunities that we just couldn't say no to. So we're not really actively trying to grow too much. We don't want to. I've learned from the mistakes in the 80s, so I don't want to try to rapidly grow. It kind of seems like we're growing pretty quick right now, but we have a great team, and it's a great place to be right now.
It's a great shop, and obviously retail's not for the faint of heart. It is a ton of work.
Yeah.
You're probably 100 hours behind the desk with the computer a week, and thank you for it really is. Surf shops are really the core of the surf industry in the community. That's where the culture came from, and so we need to be out there supporting our shops and people, shop owners like you, especially ones that love Jesus, like Cheyne Cottrell, here on the Talk Story podcast for Christian surfers. Last thing, it's kind of a cool little story and moment in time, being serendipitous that you and I are here in Virginia Beach. We're primarily here for Surf Park Summit, but I always try to connect with Christian surfers everywhere I go. And again, thank you for making time for an early podcast in your hotel room. But Roy Harley coming into town this week, surfing the wave, I think on Friday. He's here for Christian surfers, but we happen to be here the same week for Surf Park Summit. When was the last time you saw Roy?
It's been a very long time. I feel like I've seen him somewhere in between, but last time I could definitely remember was in J-Bay 15 years ago.
Okay.
It was a long time ago.
Well,
and it'll be really good to see him. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I know he's stoked and frothed to see you. And my dream would be to watch a WSL have those heritage sheets with Aki and Curran and all that. For me, I want to see the Christian Surfers heritage sheets, which be you, Will, Jesse, CJ, Damien, and just all the guys. And,
we almost had it with CJ and I last night.
Last night in the pool, yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. We need to make that happen somehow.
Let's do it. Walking on Water 2. Brian, if you're watching, we're going to do the sequel 20 years later.
Yeah.
So God bless you, Shane.
The old man tour.
The old man tour. Oh, these guys still got it and still on fire for Jesus. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Awesome, buddy. Great job.